welcome to this summary for our series, trying to locate the sons of Noah and where they really went to. This video is going to be a bit more difficult than the previous one on Ham, because trying to find information on some of the sons of Japheth is not easy, and we spoke about that. Okay, let me try to explain why why I've got this laid out like I have. Now, Japheth, 7 sons, and the first son, Gomer, and we can see that the Bible actually gives the 3 sons of Gomer, and it's important when we have these sons given, because that might show that they're going to be important in the in the history of the Bible, powerful nations, or important nations in the for the history. Now, the reason why I put Gomer here is because we have connections with Gomer and Turkic nations, and also the empire of the Khazars. And we spoke about the Turks. We spoke about this language spread of the Turkic languages, and the Bible kind of describes Togarmah as being dwelling in the the far regions of the north. Now these languages could be different tribes and different nations, not just the Gomer or the Togarmah, but just one thought that we had about trying to understand Gomer is the Turkic aspect, but we also saw connections with potentially with Germania and Gaul, and the Galatians with Gomer. And maybe if we think about history, we can maybe understand this relationship, that there seems to be a connection between the Ottoman Empire and the Germany. There seems to be historical relations, so maybe we can understand this Turkic and this Germanic relationship if we think about Gomer and these sons. So yeah, definitely this trying to put these sons on the map for Japheth is a bit more difficult, and you can put Gomer in different places. I'm sure some people will say no, you shouldn't have put it there, you could put it somewhere else. But yeah, let's carry on going. Now the next son we're going to look at is Magog, and this one, I have to say sorry, I couldn't say anything definite about Magog. There's so many different theories and ideas about Magog, but the one that we did kind of speak about was this Johannes Magnus, this historian that linked Magog to Scandinavia and the Finns and the Swedes. That's why I've got Magog up here in the north, but we learned about Magog being described as a Scythian nation, so a nomadic lifestyle. So it's going to be difficult to put Magog on the map. So I put it here because of this connection with the Finns and Scandinavia, but I'm sure there's many other connections that that can be made with Magog, and you've got to put him in different places. So again, I'm not saying that this is like 100%, and we had different connections for Magog even with the Milesians and the Irish. But yeah, we spoke about how for some of the sons of Japheth, they don't have a great deal of recorded history. We kind of spoke about that in the previous video, how civilization started in Ethiopia with Nimrod. So it was actually the recorded history is going to be the further back you go, it's going to be more the Hamites and maybe the Shemites having greater historical records than the sons of Japheth. So that's what makes it difficult to try to put this together for Japheth. Now the next one we're going to look at is Madai, and I've got Madai here towards Great Britain, because in the Book of Jubilees it says that, if we find Madai over here, Madai came forth as his portion that he should possess from the west of his 2 brothers to the islands and to the coasts of the islands. And the suggestion they give is that it's speaking about Britain and Ireland, and dwelling to the west of his brothers. So that's why I've got Madai to the west of his brothers Gomer and Magog. But the interesting thing we learn about Madai, that the Book of Jubilees tells us as well, is that that Madai saw his portion, but it didn't please him, and he begged a portion from Elam and Ashur and Arphaxad, his wife's brother. So we learned that Madai actually married a daughter of Shem, so marrying into the line of Shem, and then rather coming to live in the land of Shem. And we spoke quite a lot about that in the series about the Medes with Elam and Arphaxad. So it's actually interesting that Madai saw maybe where he was supposed to go. He didn't want that land, or he didn't like that land. So that would be interesting for the history, because then maybe this land would be open territory, for if the Medes weren't here, this could maybe be a disputed area that other tribes may be taking this land that belonged to Madai. But also maybe we might think about potentially maybe some of the Medes coming back into this area. Would that also be interesting to see, maybe if we could find evidence for the Medes coming back maybe to where they were supposed to be. Similar kind of with the story of Canaan, but the difference is that Canaan kind of seized his wrongfully, where Madai is kind of asking, so it's a little bit different, but still interesting that he didn't go into his allotment of where he was supposed to be. Okay, Javan. Now I've got Javan all the way across the Mediterranean here, because the way Jubilees describes it, it says, "And for Javan came forth the fourth portion of every island, and the islands which are towards the border of Lud." So the way it describes Javan inhabiting the fourth portion of every island, we can't expect to see the descendants of Javan living in one country alone. They're going to be spread out in different countries. And we saw those legends about Tarshish and Elisha coming to Spain. So please watch those videos if you're interested in the sons of Japheth. So Javan across the Mediterranean. And okay, the next one we're going to speak about is Tubal, but we'll speak about Tubal and Meshech at the same time because of the way the Bible describes them. It seems like they're going to be connected or living in close proximity. So we've got Tubal stretching from Spain to Italy, and Meshech in Spain. And this might be a surprise to some who haven't researched this kind of thing, to see Meshech in Spain, but that's kind of what the way the book of Jubilees describes it, or the way I kind of interpreted it. So if you're interested in this, you can maybe look at the book of Jubilees and see if you agree with this layout. But we have this connection with Tubal and Meshech in Spain, and we did see sources and information to confirm that. So if you want to know about those sources and why we said that, I think it was video part 20, if you'd like to see where I've got Tubal and Meshech in Spain. But we do have connections for Tubal and Meshech to the east, with Georgia and going towards Russia. Some historians have connected Meshech with Moscow. So there is other connections for Tubal and Meshech, not just here in Spain and France going towards Italy. But we did read that one historian who said that this region here was the principal focus for Tubal. Okay, let's go to the next one. Tyrus, the seventh son. So this is also a difficult one, but the way Jubilees describes it, it says that for Tyrus there came forth the seventh portion, 4 great islands in the midst of the sea, which reached to the portion of Ham. So that's why I've got Tyrus here, because you've got these 4 islands, Cyprus, Crete, Sicily and Sardinia, and they seem to approach the territory of Ham. So that's why I've got Tyrus being connected to these 4 islands. But different people that have studied Jubilees have different ideas, and some have just Tyrus here in this region, closer to Italy and Spain. So different ideas. So this is definitely not don't look at this and think this is like a 100% or concrete. This it's just the way I saw it and the way I interpreted the information. But there's definitely going to be different ideas out there. And we saw other things for Tyrus as well that was interesting. This Persian historian recounting this tradition that Tyrus had a son named Batuil, whose daughters Carnabil, Bact and Arsel became the wives of Cush, Put and Canaan, respectively. This is a very interesting tradition that we spoke quite a lot about. So we see Tyrus a son of Japheth, and this intermarrying with Cush, Put, and Canaan. So maybe that's also could kind of support this idea for Tyrus living in these islands approaching the border of Ham, and then you kind of see this intermarrying with Hamites according to this tradition. But yeah, if you think about the information that the Bible gives us, we only get the sons. We don't get the daughters, and that would also be a very big part of the trying to understand the history, is which sons intermarry with other sons and their wives, and we don't really get that from the Bible to try and see how these different nations kind of either joined together or stayed apart. And maybe Tubal and Meshe, they may have intermarried, because we kind of see that connection. But we do get, this is like kind of one of the few examples of where we get this information of maybe of this intermarrying. But it's actually, for this one, this example is actually Japheth intermarrying with Ham, Tyrus, and Cush, Put, and Canaan. So that was a very interesting one. So yeah, I know it's I don't think this one's a little bit more difficult. It's not the previous one on Ham, I think the way we did that, a lot of people would agree with what we did, but with this one there's going to be lots of debate, and I'm sure many people will have different ideas, and might even say that you got those completely in the wrong place. You shouldn't have Magog there, or you shouldn't have Gomer there. And if you have studied the Japheth and these Bible nations, and you've got good knowledge and you'd like to share, then please do write some comments so that people that are interested in Japheth and these sons can learn. And the idea of the first series was not to go into great detail and try to become experts on the Scythians or Gomer. It wasn't about trying to become experts. We were just trying to build a picture of where these sons went to, and just to get a feeling for it first. But what I'm thinking about is I've left Shem till last, because I'd like to spend more time focusing on Shem, because we know that the Bible story focuses on one family and one nation. It focuses in on Abraham and that family and the history of that family. So I'd like to now focus on Shem, and focus on Shem in more detail. So that's why I've left them to last. And what do you think about this map for Japheth and these descendants? Maybe it's some things you might be surprised about and you want to check out. And please put some comments if you've got some knowledge that we can learn from. And we know that the book of Jubilees, the way it describes, it says here that the land of Japheth is cold. So it makes sense for Japheth to be spreading out towards the north. And I think even Josephus mentions about Japheth coming to Europe. So we have this connection with Japheth and Europe and coming towards the north, but a little bit more difficult to put this together because of, like we said, about not having a lot of written history for some of these sons. And mostly what we know about some of these is actually written from other nations writing about them. So I'd like to have had something more concrete for some of these sons. If you watch the series, you'll probably see how we don't have concrete information on Magog, but also I was trying to keep it related to the work we were doing with the map. So I was trying to keep the series kind of related to this picture we were building. And when we were speaking about Ashkenaz and Gomer, we mentioned about this prophecy from Jeremiah about Ararat, Mini, and Ashkenaz. Just to kind of show that Gomer and Ashkenaz, they also have an interest in like the Holy Land and Babylon. So I was just trying to keep it related to what we were doing, and definitely not if you want to watch the series, it's not about trying to become like an expert in any of these areas with these kingdoms or nations. But thank you for watching this one. Please let me know what you think about this map, and we're going to look at Shem in the next one. That's definitely going to be important. So thank you for watching this video, and we'll see you in the next one.